Thank you, NBC. Thank you. I gotta just say that. We gotta start it off. Thank you, NBC. It was very refreshing to watch a NASCAR race again with a broadcast that actually cares about the product, and that is the greatest compliment that I could give about NBC and the biggest criticism I can give of Fox. It is just a night and day difference. Like, it's not a huge difference in like one thing that they do. It's all the minor little details, the care that NBC takes with NASCAR, which takes a pretty good NASCAR race. Like, this was, I think races that Fox had, were better than this one. Iowa was not the best NASCAR race of the season, but it takes a solid and good NASCAR race and just enhances it so much more on television. So just massive thank you to NBC, to the producers, to the executives, to all the people behind the scenes that make these calls. Because while you do have all the the booth and the people that you see on TV and the people that speak to you, there's so much more that goes into it behind the scenes that with the direction that I always talk about when it comes to these TV companies, the direction that NBC takes with NASCAR, not just NASCAR, but with a lot of their sports. As someone who watches the Premier League all the time, NBC has the Premier League rights, so I'm watching sports on NBC all the time. I know IndyCar fans are very happy with NBC, so just massive shout out to NBC, and they will be getting the NBA as well after 2025, so heading into 2026. So just massive credit to them. Thank you for caring about NASCAR. Seriously, that is not underappreciated by any of us. I will gladly speak on behalf of all NASCAR fans. We love you, NBC. Please do not go anywhere else. And if you want to just spend a crap ton of money to try to get the Daytona 500 on your thing, you know what? Go ahead, try it. I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members as always for the support on the channel. Thank you guys so much as always. If you can help out the channel in any way, I would greatly appreciate it. And we have a special, hopefully, surprise coming this week. If I can get it set up in time, that will also help out the channel, and we'll give you guys something to enjoy if I can get it up this week. So hopefully you guys are all enjoying your evening. Let's talk about NASCAR at Iowa. And overall, guys, this was a solid 8 out of 10 NASCAR race. Way better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought the race tonight was going to be not great. I really did not think the next gen car would do well here, but the next gen car is like, I don't even know what it's like. What can I compare the next gen car to? It's like a longtime girlfriend. It's like sometimes you know what they're gonna be like, other times you don't know what they're gonna be like. Day in, day out, it could be something different, or it could be the same. It could be predictable. It might not be predictable. It's life. That's life. That's what the next gen car is. I thought coming to this race, the next gen car would struggle because we have the repave at Iowa, which they decided to basically narrow the track in half, which I actually didn't really have a problem with. As you guys know, if you know me, I have openly complained before about Iowa. It's not one of my favorite tracks. I know a lot of people like it, and this was NASCAR's first cup race at Iowa, but the old Iowa before the repave, I never liked it. I don't know if it's because I suck at it on iRacing. I just didn't like the construction of the racetrack. I didn't really like how it raced. I thought it was probably fun to drive, but like in terms of racing, I just didn't like the racetrack, and I think I'm in the minority with that. So then they repave the track, but they only repave the corners and only lanes 1 and 2. I didn't really know what to think of it. I thought that was probably a mistake, to be honest, as did many people, as did Kevin Harvick talking on his podcast. He thought it was one of the most idiotic things ever. And then we come to the Xfinity race, and the Xfinity race is pretty solid. They put rubber into those 2 lanes, and it actually fixed something that was one of my complaints with Iowa. One of my main complaints with Iowa was that, you have this short track. Technically, they advertise themselves as a short track, but it's not really a short track, and it's so wide in the corner. So you have cars going up by the wall, you have cars all the way at the bottom, and it's almost like it's too wide. You either go by the wall, you go to the bottom, and no one really ever runs the middle, and it's a great racetrack. You have all lanes to work with, but I don't know, something about Iowa didn't hit with me. I thought, honestly, it was a boring racetrack. And so we come to today, and everyone is running side by side. They're pushing it 3 wide because they only have half of the track. And so the complaints that I had heading into this race about Iowa it wasn't there because no one was using the top half of the track since that's not paved. So they made the track smaller and they actually made it more competitive. Now, the reason why this really confused me, and it probably confused you, is that the car was fine. The dirty air was not there. I saw multiple times drivers being able to gain in the middle and coming off the corner or on entry of corner, get their nose to the, get some clean air on their nose, left side of the nose, and be able to drive right up on someone and make the pass. We saw a lot of passing all race long, something we don't usually see with the next gen car. And especially if you see it at short tracks, which I was technically a short track, you don't see it with the next gen car. Then you have the repave, which makes the corner speeds higher, but the dirty air is just not there like it is with other racetracks. Very fascinating. I really did not understand it. Very weird. You also had the tire issues in practice where people only thought they would be able to run 20 or 30 laps on a set of tires. You come to the race and that doesn't really seem to be an issue. There were right front tire blowouts throughout the day, but nothing like what people thought it was going to be. Like, you could only go 40 laps on a tire run was what people thought. Well, the final run was like 85 laps or something. And the leader who won the race took right sides only and made it with no problem. Obviously, there were tire failures, tires going down, and green flag pit stops and stuff like that, but it was not nearly as big of a problem as I think people thought it was going to be. And I'm not going to criticize Goodyear with anything on that, because Goodyear are trying to bring a softer tire, and if Goodyear try to bring the softest tire possible to every racetrack, that is what we want them to do. It was a simple mistake, apparently. Steve Letarte was explaining it, how they just were running faster today than they were when they were testing a while back. So yeah, that's just a simple mistake. The fastest car in the race was Kyle Larson. He was blitzing just amazingly fast. Didn't lead the most laps. And if you look at the most laps led, which was Ryan Blaney by a very comfortable margin, you'd be like, why was Larson? Well, no, Larson was the fastest car. It was not even close. Within stage one, he had a 10-second lead on third place. So yeah, it was pretty fascinating to watch, actually. Ryan Blaney ends up winning stage one, but I think it's mainly because Blaney in that Penske car was great on the short runs early on in the race, while the Hendrick cars were very, very good on the long run. Larson was just good everywhere. He was just incredible. And so Larson loses a little bit of track position, gets it back. He's able to pass his way through the field. And we all think, honestly, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no one beating that 5 car. Like, when the 5 car wants to get going, when he gets clean air, when it doesn't even matter. Like, he is the best. And well, in comes Daniel Suarez. This was a racing incident. It was a 3-wide incident. The video doesn't show it, but Larson forced his way 3-wide, and Suarez was kind of already racing the corner as if he was going to be 2-wide. So when Larson blitzes it 3-wide in the middle, Suarez is, in the moment making the adjustment of knowing that he's 3-wide now, but he is, already sliding up the track before Larson even's there. He gets a little bit loose coming out of the corner. Larson leaving a little bit more of a gap to Keselowski than maybe needed. He could have been a little bit closer to Keselowski on the outside. Suarez was loose, hits the left rear of Larson. Larson then ends up wrecking right up into Denny Hamlin, which was kind of ironic because they had a little bit of a moment earlier in the race where Hamlin just nudged Larson out of the way when he was a lap down for no reason, really. So kind of ironic to see those two, get together again. They have a history, and that was the fastest car out of the race. That was it. And at that point, I was like, oh, this is going to get very interesting. I have no idea who's going to win this race. You had William Byron, who was fast. Chase Elliott seemed like he had the fastest long-run car. Again, both Hendrick cars. Joey Logano was up there competing. Chris Buescher got track position. Ryan Blaney obviously led the most laps in the race. But the entire race, I was looking at Ryan Blaney, and I was like, I don't think he has the fastest car. He had track position. He was leading a lot of the laps, but there always seemed to be someone that was a little bit better than him. And so that's why I was like, I don't really think it's going to be Blaney that wins. Yeah. By the way, shout out NASCAR for this caution that was not a caution. It screwed up a lot of guys out of track position. Guys like Christopher Bell, I think, was trapped a lap down, who was showing some decent long run speed. Really bad on the short run, but really good long run speed. Probably the only Gibbs car that really performed today was Bell with the long run speed, but got trapped a lap down because NASCAR thought that was a caution during green flag pit stops. And that was not the only driver that had a flat right front tire during that sequence. There was probably 3 or 4 guys that had flat right front tires before that yellow came out, and I don't know. They're just listen, there's a button and they click the button when the caution is coming. NASCAR, can you not manipulate the races like that sometimes when it just doesn't make sense? I really appreciate it. But you get to the final run of the race and you have strategy. You have some of the guys in the top 5 with 2 right side tires only, some of the guys in the top 5 with 4 tires, and it was going to see, well, if this goes green all the way, William Byron, Chase Elliott, the guys on 4 tires, should be able to be in the best position. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, those guys, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on 2 tires are probably going to fall off. But that wasn't necessarily the case. Byron and Elliott get up to 2nd and 3rd, but Blaney is able to hold them off for the entire run. No cautions at the end of this race with any flat right front tires. Everyone seemed like, with the track rubbering up more and more, I think those tire issues went away towards the end of this race. The last 80 laps kind of play out. Nothing crazy happened, but Ryan Blaney wins the first inaugural Cup Series race at Iowa, his home track, with a lot of his family and friends there. Penske win again. Austin Cindric won, by the way, which is still crazy to me. And we didn't see him at all this race. But I guess he's back to like standard factory settings, I'm guessing.
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
But Ryan Blaney punches his way into the playoffs, and he wins at Iowa. And just overall, guys, I know it doesn't seem like a lot happened, but it was just a solid race. Like a solid 8 out of 10. Good NASCAR race. And I'm not going to complain about that at a track that I'm not a fan of. And now I might be a fan of because I really liked how this race was. So at a track that, I was doubting during the summer stretch, which is not really the best racetracks. You have New Hampshire coming up and a lot of other racetracks that are not the greatest. But the return of NBC and just a good, solid NASCAR race, it felt refreshing. I was able to watch a broadcast, and at no moment during this entire broadcast was I ever annoyed at anything. Literally. Like, nothing NBC did annoyed me. I don't know why Lee Diffie was not on the call. Rick Allen was on the call. I'm not sure about that. I thought Lee Diffie was calling these races now. You guys can let me know in the comments why Lee Diffie's not. Is he coming later? Like, I thought Lee Diffie was supposed to call the races. So I'm not complaining because Rick Allen has improved so much over the years. I just thought Lee Diffie was on there. It was a little bit sad to not hear Dale Earnhardt Jr. I think a little bit of the banter that Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings was missing a little bit, but you still had the banter from Jeff Burton, who's really good at these like one-liners and witty remarks. I think he's really good at. Steve Letarte is my favorite crew chief analyst probably ever to be in the booth. I'm sorry, Larry Mack. I apologize, but yeah, I think Letarte is absolutely the best at informing the viewer of what is going on during a race on multiple different scenarios. So while Dale Jr. wasn't there, and it felt kind of sad because you didn't have the passion that Junior brings and just the energy that he brings, and they were definitely missing that, but the crew still do such a good job that it was able to you weren't really thinking about it. So Junior will be back with Amazon and TNT next season, but yeah, I think NBC will be just fine. I don't think they need to add anyone to the booth or anything. They did a great job. To the race results: Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Joey Logano, Josh Berry, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, and Brad Keselowski. I want to give a shout out to Josh Berry. SHR and their cars were a lot better today, but Josh Berry definitely put in a very good performance and brought home a top 10, was battling for the lead at moments in this race, and was doing extremely well. We know he's a great short track racer. That's not surprising, but SHR, can they end the season on a high note? And if they will, it's probably going to be with either Briscoe or Berry. In my opinion, it would be more probably Josh Berry if they could do anything, but we will see. Another shout out to the man that finished in 13th, Justin Haley with Rickaway Racing. One of the best performances of the race. He started in the back, drove his way up to a top 10 position, then went to the back again, drove his way back up again. Like, yeah, it was very impressive to see a Rickaway Racing car and Justin Haley basically running top 10 speed for the entire day. Doesn't finish in the top 10, finishes in 13th, but still could be very proud of that performance. And there were a lot of the fast guys throughout the season that just had rough days. Basically, all of JGR, like I said, except Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, Truex, Denny Hamlin especially, really struggled today. Hamlin got lucky right before the Kyle Larson incident. He was literally going laps down and he sucked, but because that caution that NASCAR called, he stayed out. He was able to be one of the guys in the lead lap, one of the only like 11 guys in the lead lap. So that's why he was running in the top 10 when the Larson crash happened. Before that, Hamlin was just way off the pace for some reason. So that was kind of confusing to see from him. Truex struggled all race. A couple of other fast guys. Tyler Reddick, great paint scheme. Didn't do anything all race. Like I said, the Toyotas today, not great. Austin Cindric finishing in 30th. Like I said, back to factory settings. Logano ran well. Ryan Blaney obviously won. And Austin Cindric back to factory settings in 30th. Kyle Larson, the crash, 34th. Kyle Busch with a suspension failure, according to him. A part broke on his car, and so he ends up being in 35th. AJ Allmendinger finishes in last in 36th, and that is Iowa. Anything else to talk about? Point standings, playoff standings. Let's talk about that. I only really start caring about the playoff standings once NBC takes over, because then it matters a little bit. I would still really like for it to not be 16 drivers to come in, but the bubble area right now is Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch in 16th, 17th, and 18th. Buescher's plus 27, Bowman's plus 66. Like I said, if you got rid of winning you're in and you minimized it down to 12 or 10 drivers, that would be a lot better in my opinion. It's just that while I do think maybe Logano could compete for a championship at Penske, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain even, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Briscoe, Gilliland. The problem is with me, this is just my thing. You guys can disagree with me. None of these guys are going, in my opinion, to compete for a championship. And that's not including Daniel Suarez, who won a race, Austin Cindric, who won a race, who have really no right now to be competing for a championship. I just named basically guys I think could possibly compete for a championship. Larson, so that's 1. Hamlin, Byron, Bell, Reddick, that's 5. 6 is Blaney. 7 is Elliott. Keselowski, we'll throw him in there. We'll make that 8. Truex, I'll throw him in there, and Logano. So that's about 10 drivers, like somewhere around there. That's why I believe if you did a 10 driver playoff chase, I think there would be people that you would believe would compete for a championship that actually miss it just because of inconsistency or bad luck or something like that. And that would just be a lot more interesting at this point of the season. That's just my opinion. That's why I don't really like having, first of all, winning you're in. I just don't believe Austin Cindric and Daniel Suarez should be locked into the playoffs. That's just my opinion. And then to have that many drivers make the playoffs, I just don't think so. I think it would be a lot more interesting to watch if there were less guys making the playoffs, in my opinion. But the counter argument could be, then what about those guys in the mid-pack? They become irrelevant because they're not competing for anything. And you have a point there. I don't really have a counter argument to that. So, yeah. If that's your counter argument, okay, fair enough. I'm going to end it there. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. If you're watching this on Monday, enjoy the start of your week. Take care of yourselves. I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me know what you thought of the race. Thought it was a solid 8 out of 10. Great job, NBC. By the way, their post-race is still going on 30 minutes after this race ended. So thank you, NBC. Thank you. That's the main part of this video. Very happy to have NBC back, and it's going to make me just enjoy the season a lot more because I don't have to deal with frustrating Fox anymore. Until next year, take care of yourselves and have a great evening. Have a great week. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.